everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ren. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. How are you doing? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Today we're back to our regular schedule, if you can call it that. This channel doesn't really have a regular schedule. The regular schedule on this channel is just making art videos, so I guess we've been on our regular schedule. Anyway, wow, we're already starting off this chaotic. This should be interesting. We're back to another video with a voiceover. That part of the regular, you can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes, regular schedule. Where do I start to talk about this? I've been dealing with a little bit of art block again lately. I think mostly just because I feel pressured to come up with new ideas all the time. But in an attempt to kind of work through that, I have been listening to a ton of music lately, and I don't know if anybody else watching my channel has this thing where, like, when you listen to music, you like see images or colors. I know there's a word for when you see sounds as colors, and I can't remember what it is, and I know I couldn't pronounce it properly even if I could remember. But anyway, when I listen to music, I tend to see a lot of pictures and see a lot of colors, and I for so long have wanted to do a series of artwork that is just art, the art I see in my mind when I listen to music. This isn't entirely that, this like sketchbook page, but it is like a start that direction, because a lot of times the art I see in my mind when I'm listening to music feels like art I can't create because my skill level isn't there yet. So this is like baby steps in that direction. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you've probably heard me talk about like taking baby steps to the end goal and not over pressuring yourself, or you'll get art block like I was just talking about, or you might start to feel burnout really easily. It's just, in my opinion, at least for my personal learning process, trying to learn and do everything that I can't, or I feel like I can't, right all at once, tends to like make me not want to do it at all. I am working through not being a perfectionist, but I'm sure like if you're a perfectionist, you know what I'm talking about, or like you try something, it doesn't turn out how you saw it in your mind, and then you're just like, well, I guess I am incapable of creating that, and then you never go back to it. Bad idea. Don't do that if you're listening to me talk about it. Anyway, so this page was loosely inspired by music. I wanted to sketch out these like boxes. Like in my head, they're kind of like some kind of food product, like a cereal box maybe. Like that's kind of what in my head they were. Actually, because I wanted to make them into keychains. I've been learning how to make keychains out of shrink plastic. So if I get good enough at it, there might be a video on that at some point, if that would be something you guys would be interested in seeing. So I don't end up liking this one that I'm working on right now. I don't particularly like this end design, but I pretty much just used my vintage pastels palette for this entire page. So I really love the color palette overall. And I wanted to paint something as well that was like very spring themed. So doing cherry blossoms was a really good way to kind of incorporate that feeling. And I also wanted to paint something different than people, because I have done a lot of people drawings lately, which I do love to do, but just to like exercise and stretch my artistic skills with drawing other things, I wanted to draw some animals. I love drawing animals anyway, so I drew this little raccoon, and then later we'll work on painting the little squirrel that I actually ended up being really happy with how both of them turned out in the long run. And I love using my vintage pastels palette. I love using all those colors together. I feel like when I use like the entire palette, which I think I pretty much did use every single color in that palette on this page, it just is such a harmonious palette. It's a really, really good palette. It's such nice colors together, and they feel very springy, which was also kind of the vibe. I could go on and on talking about how much I love this palette, and I know I already have multiple times on my channel, so I'm sure nobody wants to hear that again, but it is a really, really nice palette if you like pastels. I also like bounced around a lot while I was doing this page because of waiting on things to dry. So here I worked on lining the raccoon while I was waiting on some of the colors on the box to dry. So for sake of time, I know it's kind of like all over the place, but what are my videos if not a little chaotic? I don't know what else to talk about now. I think I actually have run out of things to talk about. Oh, so I do like cherry blossoms on this box, and then also bubbles, because I just think bubbles are really fun to paint, and they do give me like spring and summer vibes. Yeah, and then I did use that pink, that like bright pink I used on the bubbles. That's from my Daniel Smith watercolor sample page. And then here I am lining, and like, should I have used a ruler to make sure these lines were straight? Yes, I definitely should. Did I? No, because I am too lazy and didn't feel like doing that. So in looking at this, I'm like, man, that box, that left side, the farthest line to the left does not look straight. Also, I like totally did film the coloring of the word on the front of that box, but my hand was in front of the camera because I wanted to make sure I spelled it right, I guess, and I wasn't thinking about what angle my hand was being positioned at. But here I am painting the little squirrel. So the little squirrel, I was a little undecided about what color I wanted him to be, but I ended up deciding to do like this kind of terracotta. I believe this color is called terracotta, because it is from the Vintage Pastels palette, so I knew it would blend really well with all the other colors. And because I couldn't decide on any other color, because I just feel like I have painted this squirrel a couple times digitally now. Not this particular image of him, but I have a couple other sketches of this little squirrel. And I feel like every time I paint him brown, he just looks too dark and it doesn't look right. I don't know. Anyway, terracotta, and then adding in some purple down here. This box, when I start painting it, I really like how it ended up turning out. It turned out way better than I thought it would. I think part of the reason I wasn't a huge fan of the box on the top is because I didn't have a clear image in my mind when I started. So I felt a little bit directionless. I felt a little bit without direction. What is English? I did not become a writer for this reason. I cannot speak. I need like somebody else here to like carry a conversation with me, because I'm good if somebody else is carrying a conversation, but when I'm carrying the conversation myself, I don't know. I have nothing to say. Anyway, here I am starting on the box that I actually did really like how it turned out. So I started doing that blue, and then I wanted to add a lot of yellow on this box as well. And then I went back over that blue with a teal as well, just to give that blue a little bit more dimension. And I was really happy I did that. It ended up making me kind of low-key think of water. And I love water, so anytime there is water, something that makes me think of water, I'm always very, very happy. And another thing about painting this box is I kind of wanted everything to be a little bit messy, because this box does say childhood on it, so that just fit with the vibes. And as you see here, I am splattering it because I wanted to add splatters. I kind of had that thought last minute, and I'm so happy I did it. But in the process of like trying to put paper down so I wouldn't splatter the entire page, I smudged the green on the clock, which I actually was super happy about because I wanted it to be messy. So I went in and then like kind of smudged the teal on the old school iPod. I think according to my analytics, everybody here is old enough that like they remember those iPods. Do you guys remember the old iPods? Do you remember when like the iPod Touch came out? I feel like I'm really dating myself. I'm not that old, but like I'm old enough that like we didn't have iPhones growing up. So anyway, you can leave a granny emoji in the comment section if you like got this far and heard me talk about how old I am. So the lining process for this all was the same as well. This voiceover is so chaotic. Oh my gosh. I did my same process where I start with one color and then add in either purple or pink or blue, but started with blue in this case and then added in purple and pink. And then, like, my routine's always the same. I feel like you guys got to be sick of hearing me talk about this. I used my white Posca pen. Ink, I used it on a brush because this drawing was very small to add my highlights. And then, yet again, did I use a ruler to make sure those lines were straight? No. But I will say I'm actually shocked I got them as straight as I did doing it freehand. So that's nice. Also, how have I talked almost this entire video? This video is very long. Thank you for sticking around to the end. I kind of have run out of things to talk about though. Speaking of music, fun random fact about me, I used to be able to play guitar like pretty well. I could still sit and play if I wanted to. My guitar is actually right above me. It's probably extremely out of tune. Let's see. Oh, it's not bad. It's definitely out of tune, but it's not awful. Anyway, sometimes when I listen to music a lot, then it makes me want to make music again, and I'm like somebody who has a little bit of ADHD, so I will get distracted, and I have to tell myself, no, you cannot sit and start creating compositions again, because you guys would get no videos. Also here, I'm trying to add yellow over top of this, the two O's, and make it into a smiley face. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work, and it didn't, so I ended up actually using some Posca paint to go over it. And here is how it turned out. Wow, if you've listened to me yap this long, you're amazing. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it because I feel like I was extremely chaotic, but I genuinely just never know what to talk about in these videos. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Remember to be kind and stay cozy. I almost forgot my own tagline. I'll see you later. Bye!